day, and the day is just starting in LA. Isn't that crazy?
And then as soon as you got in the zone, that Jesus stick would be around.
Oh yeah, I would have loved that a lot. Yeah.
Per usual, when traveling, I made a beeline for all the fresh local fruit I could get my hands on. After 22 hours of travel, we finally arrived to Bengaluru for a friend's wedding. Their story is such a gorgeous one, it could make a cynic cry. They met on the Zen Himalayan trek that Jay attended last year, but more on that later. They arrived as strangers, and on the very first day, a monk shared that he had a vision they would live together. The to-be groom was actually bristled as he was on his way to take his own vows to be a monk. Meanwhile, the to-be bride shared that she had written to the universe about the very man she would be destined to then marry. This stay in Nepal actually had such a powerful and formative impact on Jay's life, as it was to be for them as well. This return to India was a dramatically different one. They say it's through your challenges that you find your strength. Mama India has a way of stirring up all the things you didn't even know were there. She paints every crevice in the most brilliant textures, and it's an explosion of technicolor and a rush of passionate sensation, so if there's anything lurking, it's starting to lure it out. I had the most earnest and tangible conversations on this trip than I have anywhere else in the world. Most everyone I spoke to somehow organically woven the word aware into the tapestry of conversation, and I found myself crying more than I usually do. A healer I met shared that I carry much of my sadness in my stomach and to turn to love, to wrap myself in all the love that I do have. On the way to listen to a Tao master speak, I was heavy in my thoughts when I lifted my gaze to lock eyes with the most pure sunshine smile of a little boy who immediately melted my heart. After the temple and learning more about karma, I watched in disbelief as I waited for my ride and a raven descended and stripped a rat. It's particularly in these literal or metaphorical times that elicit my disbelief I'm leaning into receiving as it is without fixating a mental label or attachment to any of it. To sit in the spaciousness of being, understanding that no matter how ugly an experience may seem, that life shares what is the most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness when it's much easier to stoke the flames of resistance instead. I've been deep diving into the egoic mind and habit energy, and I'm in the infant stages of disentangling all the attachments we have to form to construct a canvas of who we think we are or should be, cultivating, and there's that word again, awareness and presence. I recently celebrated what I call my sobriety, sober from rage and self-harm for 2 years now. Everything at the beginning seems insurmountable, but the more you build upon that muscle of discipline, commitment, and consistency, the more you step into empowerment and embodiment, and the mightier your inner landscape becomes. Based on the idea of one breath, one step, one day at a time, at the end, it's about the courage to continue, and the greatest currency of all, which is well-being, peace, and presence. Back to the regularly scheduled programming, we continued to have a bustling month. We had dinner dates and friends that came to visit and lots of time in our favorite place of all, nature. Sweating it out and grounding is perhaps the greatest drivers of how I've kept sober. I've recently read that one of the greatest libido healers is slowing it way down and creating safety and compassion. This could apply to a general nervous system reset as well. I'm learning to receive and feel worthy. I hope that you feel worthy to create ease, to return to your inner sanctuary, to grant yourself the life force of deep belly breaths and treating both mind and body like someone and something you love. And back to back, our next adventure was the opportunity to be flown over to our sister islands, which for me was the first time. Jay has been over perhaps a dozen times and is a huge advocate of being an early riser, but neither of those things are true for me. So we woke before dawn, and before I knew it, we were on a teeny tiny plane, and again, I was in pure awe of the beauty that is our Earth. This was our spot in St. Thomas, and I enjoyed yoga out here every morning and was very jealous of all the sushi spots they had. There were even fireworks. Next, we ferried over St. John and spent the entirety hiking. We made it to the petroglyphs. Jay has been wanting to see these since we first moved to the islands. First sighting of them right here. And as soon as we walked up, there were dragonflies. We're at the second pools. The petroglyphs are behind us, and we had lunch all the way up there. This is my favorite part of the day, having just fruit and whatever I packed just up there. Nothing special, but to me it was so special. It was the highlight of my day. In the last couple years, I've been learning so much about how things are a reflection of what's within you. So it's really beautiful. They were saying that the petroglyphs. Oh, Jay's saying that these are mating dragonflies right there, right in front of us. Dragonflies are very auspicious for us, and I swear everywhere we go we see them, so that's really special. And so you can see the reflection of the petroglyphs on the water, the sacred pool they were calling it. So I really try and tune into all the lessons along the path. Every step of my journey, there are beautiful messages everywhere. They say that if you think you've healed, spend some time with your parents. Similarly, a great marker for me is how my response differs from the same triggers. You don't have to identify with what was. Even suffering can become a pleasure if you're not aware. So when I find myself feeling triggered, I take a step back and observe, learning to become the observer. You can choose your peace now. That doesn't mean it's easy. We're striving to destroy the short-term dopamine loop, and that takes work. Connection is power. Attunement is power. Discipline is power. Freedom is power. Awareness is power. Presence is power. Consciousness is power. Integrity is power. Surrender is power. And I hope you feel powerful.